I remember it like it was yesterday. What was supposed to be a routine hospital stay for a fractured wrist turned into an encounter that altered my perception of reality forever. It started simply enough. After slipping on some black ice and taking a nasty tumble, I found myself being admitted to Metropolitan Hospital with a severely broken left arm. The doctors had to surgically insert a metal plate and screws to stabilize the shattered bones. Painful, but a fairly straightforward procedure. Once I was out of recovery, a nurse led me to my room, a small, dimly lit space with 2 beds separated by a cloth partition. She informed me I might be rooming with another patient, which was less than ideal but not unexpected, given the hospital's overcrowding issues. "Make yourself at home," she said, with a curt nod, before leaving me alone. That's when I first heard the gravelly voice from the other side of the curtain. "So they stuck you with me, huh?" "Figures." I froze, the hair prickling on the back of my neck as my unexpected roommate spoke up. Slowly, I pulled back the partition to find a man, maybe in his early 60s, squinting at me with a smile. "Don't worry, kid, I don't bite," he croaked, a grin stretching across his stubbly face. Well, most of the time, anyway. He chuckled. I mustered a tight smile, already deeply unnerved by the stranger's sense of humor. Hi, I'm Daniel." "Gerald Wilkins," he replied, still grinning that unsettling grin. "But they just call me Jerry around these parts." Without asking, he launched into an uncomfortably personal monologue about his life story, a monotonous droning that I quickly tuned out. As the days crept by, I learned to dread Jerry's bizarre, rambling stories about the hospital staff and the regulars and their myriad conditions, spoken in a tone of grotesque relish. Regardless of his off-putting demeanor, it was the things Jerry said that began to disturb me. "You see that fella down the hall?" he'd rasp, jerking his thumb toward the room across the corridor. "Sam Petrie. Poor bastard came in with a busted hip, but it's looking like he won't be walking again. The infection's already spreading." He cackled at my uneasy expression. "Bet you didn't know good old Sam got a tetanus shot. About 10 years late, did you? Made all the difference in the world once that bone poked through." I tried to block out Jerry's morbid predictions, but over the following days, I noticed an eerie pattern emerging. More than once, just hours after he'd spoken ill of a patient's chances, the message would crackle over the hospital's PA system. "Dr. Parnassus to room 416. Dr. Parnassus to 416. A death knell, as Jerry gleefully pointed out each time. "Sounds like that chap Charlie Runkus kicked it," he'd snicker. Can't say I'm surprised, though. The old heart just can't keep pumping at his age. Whenever I protested that these were just morbid coincidences, Jerry simply gave me that same unsettling grin. "Keep telling yourself that, boy. But everybody's coin gets weighed sooner or later. I've been here long enough to know the signs." I tried to take comfort in the fact that the hospital's staff seemed to pay Jerry no mind at all. His bizarre behaviors and proclamations didn't seem to concern them, so they must have written him off as a deranged but harmless eccentric, right? Still, I couldn't help but feel a growing sense of dread each time a nurse came to check my vitals or change my dressings. Was the wild-eyed Jerry whispering his twisted prophecies about me to them out of earshot? I began poring over their facial expressions and body language, looking for any clue that they too saw me as another possible customer, as Jerry so ghoulishly put it. After 2 weeks, my arm had healed enough that I was supposed to be discharged. However, the hospital staff kept coming up with one baffling excuse after another to keep me admitted for further observation. All the while, Jerry kept up his ever-darkening predictions. "You ain't getting out of here, Danny boy. They want you to kick it in this joint, just like me." The constant strain of his doomsaying, coupled with my shaken nerves over being confined against my will, began taking a serious mental toll. The hospital's staff psychiatrist took to making daily visits to my room, though she never explained the reason. "Just a routine procedure," she claimed. Then, one day, a bombshell dropped that shattered my reality. The doctors had accidentally left behind their full case notes on me. Curiosity got the better of me, and I began reading, desperate to find some rationale for why they were keeping me here against my will. But what I read made my blood freeze in my veins. The notes mentioned nothing about my fractured arm or treatment plan. Instead, they were filled with dense psychiatric evaluations and theories about my deteriorating grip on reality. Phrases like hallucinations intensifying and dissociative fugue state jumped out at me amid the scribbled descriptions of delusional behavior. That's when I saw it. The root analysis that made the whole horrific truth click into place. Patient continues fixation on imagined roommate persona. No evidence such person ever existed or was admitted alongside him. I felt the world spin as the realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Jerry, the creepy old man who was next to me this entire time, had never been real at all. At least, that's what the doctor's notes were insisting. But if that was true, how could I explain all the eerily accurate details Jerry knew about the staff, the patient's conditions, and even the bizarre circumstances surrounding some of their deaths? He wasn't just spewing deranged ramblings. There was a persistent thread of truth woven through his grim tales that I couldn't simply dismiss as delusion. A thought more chilling than the prospect of my own psychosis began taking hold. What if Jerry wasn't a mere hallucination? What if he represented something else entirely? Some spectral, malevolent force that could only be perceived by me? A sinister entity that fed off the misery and despair permeating this place? Jerry's bizarre ramblings ran through my mind. The more I turned it over in my mind, the more it felt like the only answer that made any sense. Of course, the doctors couldn't see Jerry or find any record of him. He was no ordinary patient. This meant his ramblings about me never leaving, about me kicking it here just like him, took on a new and profoundly ominous meaning. Jerry, or whatever paranormal force he embodied, seemed intent on ensnaring me in his invisible, eternal grasp. A cold sweat broke out across my brow as scenarios of endless torment at the specter's shadowed hands flickered through my mind. I had to get out of here. Now! Before whatever game Jerry was playing could trap me permanently in his tenebrous, deathly realm. As if manifesting from my very thoughts, I heard the gravelly, misshapen voice from the empty bed beside me. "You seem awful preoccupied there." The mocking lilt in Jerry's tone made my blood freeze. "Everything all right?" I swallowed hard, my mouth as dry as cotton, and forced myself to meet his piercing, inhuman gaze. You're not human, are you?" I croaked, my voice little more than a ragged whisper. For a long beat, the room was utterly silent, but for the thundering of my own pulse in my ears. Then, Jerry's waxy face split into a demented, teeth-exposing leer that stopped my heart. "Clever boy," the thing wearing his semblance uttered, all traces of the gentleman-like old man now banished. "Took you long enough to figure it out, though." In an instant, the illusion dropped fully away, revealing the aberrant form of smoky, gaseous darkness. It unfurled from the bed like a grotesque, amorphous column of black smog, a pair of burning pinprick embers regarding me with naked malevolence where its eyes should be. "You won't be checking out of this place, Danny boy," the thing intoned into guttural, reverberating hiss that chilled me to the core. Before the entity could fully extend its shadowy tendrils toward me, I shoved past it and bolted for the door, panic and adrenaline lending me strength as I ran through the hallway. Cries of shock and alarm echoed behind me. "You ain't getting out of here, boy!" Jerry's baleful voice shrieked, the once harmless pet name now dripping with malice and barely contained violence. "You gotta stay, just like me, forever!" But as soon as I hit the exit doors and burst out into the harsh, comforting sunlight, I felt the entity's dark influence slipping away. The lingering amorphous shadows enveloping me dissipated like smoke, dispersed on a stiff breeze. Whatever supernatural force had been toying with me in that place, it couldn't maintain its power beyond the hospital's haunted, sorrow-steeped confines. At least, I desperately hope that's the case. Though I know the memories of my nightmarish encounter will follow me forever. I've never felt more grateful for the overwhelming mundanity of the outside world. All I can do is put as much distance between me and that godforsaken hospital as possible. Perhaps I'll never be able to shake the nagging fear that one day I'll hear that gravelly voice from the darkness once more. You can't escape forever, Daniel.